Well, hello everyone, my cosmic companions on this eternal journey that we're on. So, I wanted to share a little bit of an insight that I had, and it's about what the spiritual journey is really all about. And I've learned that the spiritual journey isn't about getting rid of the things about yourself that you don't like. It isn't about getting rid of your neuroses. It isn't about um, fixing the inner terrain to fit some kind of a model or some kind of a image or projection of how you think you should be as an individual. And that's just not what the spiritual journey is all about, because I can tell you from my own experience that I have been on the path and I'm very committed and dedicated, but it has not gotten rid of the things about myself that I wish would change and that I wish were different. So it's kind of changed the course of my spiritual journey, and how it's trying to change the course of that spiritual journey is that it is putting me in the position to have a relationship with myself that I never had before in the past, instead of using all these different practices to kind of abandon myself and rid myself of these things about myself that I don't like and I don't find desirable, and trying to make myself into something that I think I should be, or some kind of image of myself. Because this is the thing, the ego is also on a spiritual journey too, and the ego objectifies the spiritual journey. So when the ego objectifies the spiritual journey, it turns it into an object of its own desire, and it wants to own it, and it wants to covet it, and it wants to create something out of it to fulfill its own needs and desires. And the real spiritual journey is really quite frightening to the ego. The reality of the spiritual journey is very frightening to the ego, because it thinks that it is there to annihilate the ego because of some of the spiritual teachings that have been misunderstood over time. And we're not here to annihilate the ego, and we're not here to rid ourselves of things about ourselves that we don't like. And what it's really about is creating a different relationship with yourself. Because no matter how hard you try, how much yoga you do, how much meditation or how many hours of meditation that you sit in, granted, it will create a space within yourself to be able to notice these things a lot better or with a lot more clarity, but it's not going to change them, and it's not going to get rid of them. So what that does is it kind of breaks down these barriers between you and certain aspects of your ego and aspects of yourself that are very injured. And it's going to come to a point where you don't have any option but to face these things, and you're not going to have any option but to make peace with these aspects of yourself that probably may never go away. You may grow over time, and you may able to be that silent witness that watches what happens within yourself without judgment and without drawing conclusions about it, but just kind of seeing okay, I've been through this before. Or just like I went through some disappointment. Disappointment's a pretty common thing in people's lives. It's like, okay, clearly I'm meant to feel disappointment because this is something that's very common within my experience. So I'm going to sit with disappointment. If I feel like crying, then I'm going to cry. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to draw a conclusion or a judgment about who I am as an individual, or the value about who I am as an individual based off these feelings, because we've been taught a very big misunderstanding about our feelings, about our emotions, that we want the good feelings and get rid of the bad feelings. And good feelings are acceptable, bad feelings are not acceptable. But that also doesn't mean that it's not that we shouldn't strive to want to feel better. It's okay to want to feel good. It's our birthright to be happy. But things are going to arise within us whether we like it or not. We all have these different neuroses and these tendencies and these aspects of ourselves that are very injured. And what we have to do is kind of be that loving, caring parent to ourselves that we may not have had at the time where these certain PTSDs were created out of the trauma that we've experienced. So it's really kind of softening our relationship with these experiences and with these injured aspects of our ego. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. And it's just like a, a discovery for, myself and my own individual journey and my own individual experience. Because, you may hear about these things, but it's a totally different thing when it's really something that you need to implement within your life, or it's really something on your own individual level that you are experiencing. And there's just going to be a point where there's going to be no option left but to face yourself. And there's going to be no option left but to create a more loving and compassionate relationship with yourself. And also, that's why it's so important to have a community of individuals that you can reach out to and talk to and share these things with in a very safe space, because these are very, very, real things that so many of us are experiencing, but we've just never been taught to have a relationship with these things. We don't know how to have a relationship with these aspects of ourselves. All we know how to do is try to get rid of them and try to rid ourselves of them, instead of letting it run its course and process through us. Because the thing is that the more we sit and we get to know these parts of ourselves, it gets easier. You can be an observer of it. You can get to know it. You can befriend it. You can build that loving relationship with it without you being in battle with yourself, and you being fractured off and at odds with who you are, because this is who you are. This is who you are. It's just that we are existing in kind of a real, we've been taught from a very broken infrastructure, from a very broken paradigm. So we don't know these things. And that's why we're having all these internal, clashes with ourselves. And that's why so many people are going and, seeing a psychiatrist. And not saying that may, and I would never ever shame a person for that. I just want to put that out there as a disclaimer. There's people out there whose neurology is really, really injured and who do need these medications. And I applaud you and I give you all the love from my heart for that, because it's so, some people, it is a very, very necessary thing for them to do for their neurology in order for them to function and to be on this path. However, I feel like there's been an overdiagnosis of some of these things. Or maybe there's been too much of a dependency on these medications, where maybe they just needed to be implemented for a short period of time as a certain modality of healing was happening. And there's a lot of different variables and everyone's different. So it's not that simple, it's very complex, and everyone's life has a different set of circumstances. And I totally understand that. I totally get that. We're all individuals, and it's an infinite number of situations in life experiences and circumstances that everyone's been through. So I just want to throw that out there. But also, I wanted to share this as far as spirituality goes, and our approach to our practice, to not let it always be about trying to rid ourselves of something, but to really listen to ourselves. And it all is about a cultivation. You cultivate that awareness within yourselves. You cultivate that stillness and that silence within yourself. So when certain things come up into your life, that's when really you can put these things into practice, not just during your quiet time at the end of the day, but also during times where you feel yourself getting really riled up with feelings and emotions, and to be easy on yourself, because there's no perfect way to go about this. We're living in a society that can be very confusing and very intense, and it's not always that easy, and I understand that. But I think with a certain amount of commitment, not so much like a lot of work, but commitment, and all of us coming together and understanding one another, I think that we could really help each other on this path and to create that new earth. So I just wanted to make this video, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. And I just want to send you all my love and all my heart and all my compassion to all of you, and happy healing, and I love you.